Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Rines Report. This is your host, Tristan Blake Rines, and this is officially your lead up to Super Bowl 51 between the Atlanta Falcons and the New England Patriots. Today, my guest is Radford University sophomore Ray Amato. We're going to be joined here at 11 a.m. by Terrance Schoefield and my returning guest, Nicholas Penninger, as well, to top off our last hour at 12 o'clock. Along with the Super Bowl, we'll be talking the Eagles offseason, the MVP and rookie picks of the year, and teams heading into the next NFL season with the biggest upside. Top 5 quarterbacks all time, and potential MVP of the Super Bowl. So let's just get this thing started. Ray, you're a big Eagles fan. I know this from knowing you, obviously. So what are the things that you think the Philadelphia Eagles need to do heading into this offseason to be better for next year?
Definitely heading into this offseason, Philly really needs to get some offensive linemen and some wide receivers, because Carson Wentz, he's a great quarterback. He's really good, but when he doesn't have protection,
yeah, I mean that goes with any quarterback.
Or somebody to throw to, he's kind of
Well, for free agency, I'm going to start off with free agency overall. Like my target needs for the Eagles are the wide receiver position, cornerback, and offensive tackle, mainly because Jason Peters is getting older.
Oh yeah.
It's just going to be cap space that needs to be either cut or needs to be reduced. He's a great left tackle. I feel like they could probably get somebody in the draft for that. But we're going to start off with free agency. At the wide receiver position, I'm thinking they really go hard after Alshon Jeffrey. I don't know if he's going to re-sign with Chicago, mainly because there's a lot of dispute back and forth between the organization and him, and he's a very talented receiver. They like what he brings for that team on the field, but they don't really have quarterbacks to throw to him either. Deshaun Jackson could be a possible reunited. He's made some hints at wanting to go back to Philly as well.
I've got a feeling he's strong Philly player from back in the past. I've got a feeling he's going to go back. He wants to.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we saw what he can do all over the field. And he's a little older now since he's been with Washington. I think they'd probably open him with welcome arms as well too, just because he brings you a lot of potential. They'd probably get him for less money as well.
Yeah, as long as he comes in with a good price, they'll probably take him right away.
Yeah. And at the cornerback, I'd say probably Stephon Gilmore. I thought he could go to a lot of different places, honestly, because he's a pretty good, talented corner with Buffalo. If they don't franchise tag him or sign him to an extension, if he does hit the open market, he was a Pro Bowl player as well too. But he could come at a high price. I don't know if they'd be willing to spend that much money on a corner. The last time they spent tons of money on a star corner, he ended up not working out. Nnamdi Asomugha.
Yeah.
For instance.
He was good for one season.
Yeah. We saw what he did with Oakland and then kind of just fell off after a year with Philly. But
yeah.
Because remember, that was the biggest thing that happened. Nobody saw him going to Philly at that time, too. I was really confused. I was like, why is this guy going to Philly? It was so confusing. Let me see who else. Oh, yeah, and my other cornerback pick, possibly Drake Kirkpatrick from Cincinnati.
Yeah, he'd be a good corner.
He'd be a good corner for Philly because you'd probably get him for a decent price. He comes in and works pretty hard. I mean, so far we've seen what he can do in Cincinnati. He's pretty talented. Not the number one guy there, considering Adam Pac-Man-Jones, but he does bring a lot to your team. He can probably help out a lot because there's not a lot of notable guys in the secondary besides Malcolm Jenkins for the Philadelphia Eagles.
We're all young. Philly's got young players right now.
And Leotis McKelvin.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the offensive line, I can really see him going for it in the draft. A lot of teams nowadays start building for the draft. Lane Johnson is one of the tackles the Eagles have that they really build within the draft as well. So I can really see, I've linked Ramczyk as well out of Wisconsin too. A few teams like the Giants, but I could really see him going to Philly as well, possibly give him the year underneath Jason Peters and Lane Johnson to learn, come in his second year, play really well. He's big, strong. Once his hands hit the defensive lineman, from what I've seen, they don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
He directs them with pure strength. If they wanted to go corner in the draft, I see Marlon Humphrey out of Alabama. He's willing to tackle, plays the ball pretty well, but this is all assuming they get a receiver in free agency. I feel like receiver is something that they've been really going after a lot during the regular season.
That's what they need before they can do anything else. They need somebody who can take over the reins enough that he has a top target. Because right now, he doesn't really have that target that he can look to on every play. Because they're all good, but they're not ones that you can
they're not star receivers.
Yeah.
They're not the number one guys. Like Jordan Matthews is pretty good. He's a very good complementary receiver, but he's not the star. Like, who do you think could possibly be a really, really good fit for Philadelphia?
I personally think that Jeffrey would have been a great pick way back when they were talking about him possibly going in the middle of the season.
Mm-hmm.
I truly think, like, even with the talk of Jackson coming back, I still personally think that it should be Alshon Jeffrey because he's a great receiver. He's going to come in at a cheaper price because he wants to play the game and he's going to want to play under a good quarterback that wants to throw to him. And if we don't take Jackson, which is a possibility, Washington could try to scoop him back up.
Or he could go somewhere else in the league as well.
Yeah, I really think that Jeffrey would be like one of the great ones to come in because he can come in, do what he needs to do, and he'll probably last a little longer than Jackson out on the field. And then he could also train up the other guys to maybe get a second star.
Yeah.
Like the Patriots have.
Well, I could definitely see Jeffrey fitting in well. I feel like they'd shell out enough money to get him. This is going to be a big offseason in my thought process for the Eagles. Because I feel like they're one of the teams that's like, they started off really well this last season. Like, nobody saw the Eagles doing this well. Not even me.
I didn't even see it. I'm an Eagles fan.
Yeah, no, I don't think very many people thought the Eagles were going to be that good to start the season. They ended up becoming really mediocre near the middle to the tail end, but they ended up beating Dallas at one point at the very end of the season. But,
Yeah, we beat
but
Dallas
they just beat
they were
them.
playing their second string.
They were playing their backups. But it's still a win no matter what. So they have the potential. Carson Wentz apparently is supposed to get some little bit more power in like how they go after players in the offseason.
The Eagles, I was reading up on this the other day, they decided, they contacted Wentz and were like, we want you to come help us decide who you want as like wide receiver.
Yeah. Basically the LeBron effect.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing with him.
I feel like that's a little bit early to have players do that, though. He just came off his rookie season. Very good rookie season. No problems with it. It was just more of, he was just a rookie.
I think they're doing it because since he didn't have one, they want him to... I think they're going to give him the choices, and then he gets to pick between, like, they're going to go, well, you can pick between these
who do we
three
target?
players.
Who do we target the most?
Yeah. And then
of course,
at that point...
at that point, we're all pretty sure it's going to be Alshon Jeffrey if he does hit free agency. Or they could probably try to sway Chicago into not signing him in some kind of form or fashion, maybe.
I don't think Chicago's going to sign him.
Really?
I really think he's
I feel like he's a very big threat for that team that they don't really want to give up, but at the same time, it's like that's a lot of cap space. I feel like Chicago, besides their defense, they're really rebuilding all over the board. I've heard talk that Jay Cutler could be traded this offseason or let go, possibly going to like San Francisco, or I don't see him going to Cleveland, but I could definitely see him moving around the league.
Yeah.
They need a lot of help. Their running backs, they're pretty good. The offensive line is okay.
It would have been a lot better last season had we have not had that. Lane Johnson had that 10-game suspension.
Oh yeah, Lane Johnson he's a good tackle.
If he wasn't there, that game against Washington where Wentz got sacked on the final play wouldn't have happened that way. It might have been a little different having a starter, not a rookie, at that same position.
I know the Eagles were alternating guys in and out on the offensive line all year.
Yeah.
And besides Jason Peters, I'm pretty sure that almost everybody on the offensive line got moved around at some point.
Oh, yeah.
Which makes it difficult for the rookies. Except for the center, Harriman's, right?
Yeah.
He's a good center. Peters, did he get hurt at all last season or something?
I think he got injured during one game and stepped out like right at the beginning and then returned for the rest of the season.
He's a pretty solid, left tackle. I mean, it's got to make Carson Wentz feel comfortable. It's like his entire right side. Almost the entire season was, like, scary. You know what I mean? If I'm a rookie quarterback, like, dude, this is pretty bad.
I read an interesting report, too, that there was talks of Washington possibly trying to come in and buy him out, and they were talking...
Peters?
Yeah, they were talking, should Philly let him go? He's got a big cap space, and maybe they could fill him.
I don't know about Washington trying to take Jason Peters because they have Terrance Williams.
Yeah.
Trent Williams, and he's a great left tackle, top 5 in the league.
It was a surprising report. I think they were going to move him if they took him, move him to maybe right tackle or something.
I could see Peters going to right if that's the need. They have Washington. That being said, they have a pretty good offensive line. Scherf, they're one of their first round picks from 2 years ago, playing really well at the guard position, and Trent Williams, of course. They're looking more to just solidify that offensive line for Kirk Cousins. Because if Kirk Cousins knows he's going to have help, he's not going to feel like uncomfortable re-signing. And it's either going to be a franchise tag for Kirk. I don't see Washington letting him go this offseason either.
Oh, I don't see him letting him go, but I don't see them getting a franchise tag yet.
No, not unless it's like near the end of the offseason.
Yeah, I think maybe 1 or 2 year deal, maybe just to like have him stay for a couple years, just to give him more time to think about it.
I think it's me. I think the common consensus when it comes to Cousins right now, though, is that he's not looking for the 1 or 2 year deal because they've done that to him in the past.
Yeah.
I think he wants the long-term commitment from Washington, and he deserves it. The way he's played the last few years, like he's shown that he can be a very good starting quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
He took that team over after RG3 went down. A lot of people were like, we don't really know. And he came back and started playing really well. So I like Cousins. I wouldn't mind him, heading my franchise. I don't know if he's a Super Bowl quarterback yet, but that's, yet to be seen. The Redskins are in a long drought.
Oh, yeah. Philly's in the longer one.
I say because he leads most free agency all over the board. When you go to some of these websites, this one I'm looking at right now, sportstrack.com, when you go to the free agents, he's the number 1 player on the free agency board.
Oh, yeah.
And he's probably going to take up the most money. The 2016, what he made in 2016 is about about $20 million for the whole season. And his worth, I'm sure, has just gone up. It's about 23.6 is his annual worth for any franchise. So that's a lot of money for a quarterback. So I'm trying to think here. Who do you like the most? What do you think they need to address the most? Like, do you think it's receiver? Do you think it's corner? Or do you think it's the tackle position, though? What do you think is the necessary need right now that the Eagles are going to go after?
I think the necessary need would be a receiver.
Really?
If we get the one receiver, our defense, they even though we don't have the greatest corners, we still played pretty decent on defense the entire season.
Yeah.
Our offense, because we didn't really have Lane Johnson for most of the season, it was really hard to tell how well the offensive line would have done having him there as like a role player. Because maybe he could have helped the other guys, and they might have built up a rapport. We could keep this going a little bit, and so they may be able to fight it out. I really think once we get a wide receiver that we can at least get a 500 season.
Yeah,
at least
a 500. I mean, receivers are nice and all. There's been a lot of talk here and there about the actual value that receivers have, because if you look at it, teams with superstar wide receivers, they're not always the best teams. Pittsburgh's pretty good. They didn't make the Super Bowl this year.
Look at Cleveland. They had the
Josh Gordon,
the number 1 wide receiver.
They've had good receivers, but receivers don't make your team overall. I mean, it's definite help because the Eagles have good pieces all over the board. A receiver could help that team. I'm just saying in general, some teams it might not.
Yeah.
Because they've got good feature receivers. I'm gonna read them off here. Nelson Aguilar, even though he doesn't really catch the ball every single time it's thrown.
That's my whole problem with him.
Yeah, that's every Philly fan's problem. Dorial Green-Beckham is a very big receiver. Jordan Matthews, Bryce Teggs, Paul Turner. And those are your receivers right now, based off of ESPN.com team roster. They have some good feature receivers, guys who have the potential to do really well. It's more of just, you need the number 1 guy.
Yeah.
And Alshon is definitely the number 1 guy. Heck, probably bringing in Deshaun Jackson, it could be that's the number 1 guy, or he's going to be another feature receiver with all these guys.
If they bring in just Jackson, he's definitely going to be the number 1 because he's a really good wide receiver, was for years with Philly. He'll definitely come in and be the number 1. But if they bring in Jackson and Alshon, which I don't see happening.
I don't think they have the cap for both of them.
Yeah, I don't think they have the cap either. But if that were to happen, then he may fall off and Alshon would be number 1.
I feel like a swift alternative to Alshon Jeffrey, who's also supposed to hit free agency or is looking to hit free agency, is Kenny Britt. Played for LA last season, had a really good season. Let me see some other guys that are hitting the free agency. Vincent Jackson, veteran player, about 34 years old. Pierre Garçon, like I said, Deshaun Jackson, Anquan Bolden, he's 36 years old. There's the potential for a lot of receivers hitting free agency. Guys like Cordarrelle Patterson are scheduled to hit. Terrell Pryor is supposed to hit as well. So there's potential over the board for Philly to get a good, solid receiver. I don't know about Pryor quite yet. They have said they want to re-sign him in Cleveland, though. So overall, I feel like the Eagles have a lot to do this offseason in order to become really good contenders, because the NFC East now, it looks like this could be the best division of football for the next few years.
Yeah,
they went from being last year the worst division of football to now anything can happen. It's
at the beginning of the season they were talking. They were like, they went. What happened to this this group of people that didn't even produce a 500 above winning team till like the last 2 games of the season to all of a sudden now they're like the number 1 division. Like what?
Yeah,
what flip flop?
But it's crazy it can turn around that fast. We saw what happened years ago in the NFC West.
Yeah,
with Seattle, with Arizona, like they all turn around. These are all like possible Super Bowl contenders at one point in time. Like San Francisco used to run the division. And Seattle, for years now, has become a really solid team. Arizona's been kind of back and forth. Last season, pretty bad season. Years before that, though, pretty good. Overall, possible Super Bowl contenders, like we've all been saying as well. So you never know what that division could end up being next season.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The NFC's, any of those teams can win on any given Sunday. Washington, you can't sleep on them. Philly, you can't sleep on them. We saw when they beat Minnesota. We didn't really see that coming at the time.
Yeah, that was a surprise to myself.
the Giants, besides their offensive line, are a pretty solid team all over the board. And the Cowboys look like they have the potential to run the board for the NFC for the next several years.
Oh yeah.
They're very talented. The way their money is working as well, too, because they got a quarterback 4th-round pick. They're not paying him a ton of money. They're not going to restructure his deal until probably the year like the year of or the year before it's supposed to expire. Ezekiel Elliott, great running back, MVP candidate for a long time during the season, led the league in rushing his rookie season. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens with it. Any other little things you want to add in before we go to a little quick break here?
I don't really think there is anything.
I think we covered everything in the Philadelphia organization. Well, that sounds good. I'm going to hit you guys with some Mask by Maroon 5. Stick around, guys. Enjoy.
Your new favorite station. You like it, I love it. You like it, I love it. This is your man, Flo Rida. All the hits. The New River Valley's hit station. RFR. Radio Free Radford.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Rines Report. This is, again, your host, Tristan Blake Rines, still joined here by Ray Amato. Just finished talking about the Eagles. Let's get started on the MVP candidates for this upcoming NFL honors tomorrow night on NFL Network. So, I think it all comes down to these 3 picks. Aaron Rodgers, Matt Ryan, Tom Brady. These are the 3 guys that we're pretty solid on. We know are in the race. There were guys who came and went during the season. Matthew Stafford, Ezekiel Elliott, Dak Prescott didn't necessarily have enough juice to get them that MVP spot. So I want to run through and just give off the stats for each one of these guys, and then I'm pretty sure most of the people think that one person is going to win by this, but might as well take up a little bit of time. So Aaron Rodgers finished the season on a hot streak with 40 touchdowns, 7 picks, 4,400 yards passing, a 104.2 passer rating, and an 11-5 record with the Green Bay Packers. Next up, Matt Ryan, 38 touchdowns, 7 picks, almost 5,000 passing yards at 49.44, and a 117 passer rating, led the league in that, and an 11-5 record. And there's Tom Brady, who missed 4 games due to the Deflategate suspension, but ended up within 12 games, had 28 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions, about 3,500 passing yards, a 112 passer rating, and in those 12 games only lost once. So he ended up having the second highest right behind Matt Ryan for passer rating. Now, you can make arguments for any one of these guys, but you and I are pretty consistent. We're in agreement here that Matt Ryan does take the cake for the MVP this year. He had a phenomenal season. Oh, that was pretty loud. But we both think that Matt Ryan's going to take this.
Definitely.
Now, this is going to come into play because 2 of these guys play in the Super Bowl. But we'll get back to that after. We're going to get to the Super Bowl after this topic. So, I also talk about Rookie of the Year as well. We can debate that as well. But MVP, you got Matt Ryan. For what reasons do you really have Matt Ryan winning this?
At the beginning, when I was first looking at it, I was like, it's Matt Ryan, Matt Ryan. You don't really hear of his name, the MVP candidate always. But then when I started looking at stats and stuff, and I had been watching some of his games, like the replays of it, and I started looking, I was like, he actually did really well for the season. And the only other person that I thought that actually had a shot at him would be Brady, because we can only speculate what would have happened in the 4 games that he was suspended.
Yeah, if you would have looked at the stats that he had during those 4 games, he might have only thrown 1 interception, maybe had like a collection of touchdowns still, been in that been in the same number as Matt Ryan, really.
Yeah, then that's where I was like, that's where you have to go into you got the speculation. Would Brady have been up there, been better? Who knows? But I still think Matt Ryan takes the cake on this one. He's just phenomenal quarterback, did very well, led his Atlanta Falcons to the Super Bowl, which I don't think anybody predicted when they were playing Green Bay.
A lot of people thought we're taking Green Bay. I took Green Bay. I'm on the docket there for the take the L squad.
I had taken Atlanta to win that game, but before that, I had Cowboys going all the way. Somehow, I had them doing it.
That's what a lot of people were thinking. I never really thought they were going to go all the way, mainly because of their youth. That's just me personally.
I thought they'd get there.
They're young. They're making the playoffs. That's all nice and everything, but they're not going to get through Dak Prescott. As great of a season as he had, like was third place in passer rating, great stats, whatnot. He was not going to beat out Aaron Rodgers, Matt Ryan, Russell Wilson. None of those three guys. Because all three of those guys have, Matt Ryan, phenomenal season, first off. Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers have both been there. That's the thing to me. Is that they've both been there, they've been on the stage, and they've proven they can win in the playoffs. Dak Prescott, we had no idea about, but I didn't see him getting through either one of those teams. Mainly for the factor of, hey, we've been there.
Yeah.
Experience is a huge deal in the NFL, which I will also touch on at some point here soon as well when we talk about the Super Bowl. So when it comes to Matt Ryan, the reason why I'm picking him, almost the same reasons. Tom Brady missed those 4 games due to suspension for Deflategate, but had amazing numbers. For the longest time, I was fighting for Brady, but I had to wake up one day and just be realizing, like, man, you know what? You can't fight it. Matt Ryan. What really set it over the edge for me was when he beat Green Bay.
Oh yeah.
That's when I was like, Matt Ryan wins MVP, dude. He just beat the hottest team in football, even though the Falcons are the hottest team in football now. But at the time, everybody was like, Green Bay all day. I was taking Green Bay in New England the entire week. I was like screaming. I would have preached. I would have almost bet money that Green Bay was going to win that game, the way they were playing. But it wasn't the case. Matt Ryan came and played an amazing game. Has been phenomenal throughout the playoffs. Is heading up against the biggest opponent they've had all season in the Super Bowl. Let's see how they handle it. The first time the entire Atlanta Falcons squad, pretty much, besides Dan Quinn, when he was with Seattle's defensive coordinator, been to the Super Bowl. So this is a big deal for the Atlanta organization overall. Matt Ryan's carried that team along with Julio, a great offense, and a young defense as well.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why Matt Ryan gets my pick. Rookie of the Year. Who do you think wins Rookie of the Year? That's a good pick. It's a good discussion point.
Personally, as much as I don't like the Cowboys, I personally think it's Ezekiel Elliott.
Really?
I really do.
Well, I mean, it's fair. I think I could definitely see it. It's really between him and Dak.
Yeah.
Hill for Kansas City had a really good season. Outside of that, though, everybody else is pretty pedestrian in comparison to these guys. So overall, it's tough, man.
Oh yeah.
Because for me, it really comes down to value on their teams. Like I've said this for weeks, where I don't think the Cowboys would have been near the position they would have been without Dak Prescott. Because last season, the Cowboys running backs averaged 4.6 yards a carry. Ezekiel Elliott wins you some games. He does a great job, but without that offensive line, I mean, he's not going anywhere. Dak Prescott is the reason why they do so phenomenally. I mean, personally, that's my advocacy to say Dak Prescott should win the Rookie of the Year, which is why he was an MVP candidate. He was more valuable.
Yeah.
Personally, Ezekiel Elliott, you put him on any other team, maybe not any other team, but you put him on, for instance, I think you could probably put him on Cincinnati, and he doesn't have near the numbers that he has with Dallas. Dallas is the best offensive line in football, though.
Oh yeah, they have for years.
Go into an average, if you go to an average offensive line, I mean, we've seen it. Some of these guys just don't do as well. But if you have a really good offensive line, I mean, it doesn't necessarily say you win games either. Cleveland has a pretty good offensive line. They don't win games because of their running game. They just can't do it. Quarterback's more valuable to me, personally. They do more. That's why Dak Prescott, to me, should win. But number-wise, they're going to give it to Zeke.
Oh, yeah.
He's a beast. I'm not going to negate and say that he's not a good running back. He's a phenomenal running back. We've seen that. He's pretty proven now after his rookie season. Hopefully he can keep it up. He's fun to watch, man.
Oh, yeah.
And this is
when he gets those leaps.
dude, as an Eagles fan, it must suck. It must be horrible to like see him tear apart the defense.
When we were first pulling into the game, I was like, he's a rookie running back. We can stop him. If we could stop Murray back there when they had Murray, we could stop him. And
he's a different
and then the
kind.
game happened, and I was like,
he's a different hybrid to me than DeMarco Murray. DeMarco Murray's very strong. He can run downfield as well as one cut, but Elliott can hit you. He can block. He can hit you. He can kill you in the basket. He can catch, as well as run the ball. Obviously between the tackles, so he does a lot for your team. He's a very well-rounded running back. He's a good one cut. Can bulldoze some guys, catch out of the backfield, put blocks up. That's the overall.
And he's got those moves when he's running with the ball.
Oh, open field. Once he hits the open field, it's so tough to bring him down because he's fast. I think he had one of the fastest plays in the season was Ezekiel Elliott running up the sideline or something like that, going like 20 miles an hour.
Yeah, he was bulking it down that sideline.
Yeah, and this is a very fast rookie class that we just had coming too. Carson Wentz pretty fast for a quarterback. Dak Prescott, Jared Goff is probably like the most. I don't know. I don't know what to think about Goff. That being said, when we're talking about rookies here, I don't know what to think about Goff just quite yet.
They really haven't. They didn't play him that much, which is what surprised me.
Well, they put Carson Wentz in trial by fire and was like, yeah, he does fine.
They expect and that's where I get. Wentz should have never went to Philly in the first place.
Yeah.
Wentz should have went to the Los Angeles Rams should have taken Wentz, but they didn't.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And when they didn't take him, Cleveland really needed a quarterback. They should have taken Wentz.
They had RG3 at the time, man.
RG3.
Yeah.
They had RG3. That's
don't negate me because I still have hope. Robert Griffin III will be an entertaining quarterback.
Oh, he's an entertaining quarterback. I'm not saying he's not, but they need somebody that they could at least train up, and they could when somebody could have been trained up through that. When he slid as far as he did. When he slid the second seat and Philly took him, I was like, I don't know how this happened, but
not disappointed.
I wasn't disappointed at all on that. You're right.
Speaking of the Browns and RG3 quarterbacks, basically, do they take Deshaun Watson in this draft, or do they go after Jimmy Garoppolo really hard in the offseason? Because there's been a lot of talk that I've seen where the Browns are saying they're extremely interested in Jimmy Garoppolo.
I think they're going to go after Jimmy Garoppolo.
Do you think that they trade one of their first round picks? I'm not saying they're the number 1 overall pick to get Jimmy, but did they trade like their number 8 or 12? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I see them trading a good amount of picks to probably try to get him, which
because in the games we saw, like I personally as a Patriots fan, I know that at some point that Brady is going to hit the decline, but I don't know if Jimmy is going to wait around for those few years.
Yeah, I was reading an interesting article saying that Brady ain't going to disappear for like 5 or 6 years.
He doesn't want to. Yeah. Barring any super injury, he's not going anywhere.
Just like Romo. Romo wouldn't have went anywhere except he had those injuries the last couple of years that just kind of made it to where Dallas is like, we can't take this no more. Yeah. We need somebody new.
So if the Patriots were to acquire a first-round pick from the Browns, as well as their own first-round pick, and a number of other picks, do you think... Well, this is a very quarterback-heavy draft, by the way. I think there's about 16 quarterbacks going into the draft this year who all have pretty good potential. Do you think they go after a quarterback pretty high, like they did with Jimmy Garoppolo? That's worked out for him very well over the last few years.
I don't see them going after a higher round pick because you look at... Dallas pulled one in the 4th round. And
I mean, you can get a quarterback anywhere, but you feel a little more comfortable getting one high, is what I'm saying. So we got Garoppolo in the 2nd round when we drafted him. Jacoby Brissett was I'm trying to remember. I think he was a 3rd-round pick last year. He did okay, but he was just a rookie this year too, so I'm going to give him a little grace period. I feel like I'm not saying 1st round, maybe a 2nd round or a 3rd round.
Yeah, I'd see a 3rd round maybe.
Mainly because you want to have a little more insurance.
Oh,
because we went through 2 quarterbacks. We played all 3 quarterbacks during the season, and one of the quarterbacks had a thumb injury. We almost had to play Julian Edelman at quarterback. So
I wouldn't be surprised if Philly goes after their quarterback too. Just like one of those later rounds because Chase Daniel's a great backup, but he's all we got.
I mean, he's very high priced for a backup. So
that too. He's a high priced backup, and he's the only backup we have. So if they both go down, we're kind of...
So, the Rookie of the Year, I think we're going to take Ezekiel Elliott, personally. mainly just because the numbers are there, but more valuable to that team, I'm going to say it one more time, I'm going to say it probably 1,000 times over the next few years, is that Dak Prescott's more valuable.
Oh, definitely. They can put anybody back there in their backfield, and they'll run right through you. The offensive lineman just...
I bet I could probably get at least a few yards of carry running behind that offensive line, too. So.
Yeah, Well, actually, I can't remember the guy's name, but there was an NFL player that got negative rushing yards on the season.
Oh, it was Reggie Bush.
Reggie
Bush. Reggie Bush got paid $1.5 million to have -3 rushing yards.
Which
so
means
every human being on the planet who doesn't play in the league had more rushing yards than Reggie Bush this season. Sorry to say it, Reggie. I think it's time to retire. I don't see him having another a huge rebound at the age of 31. It's just not happening. So, that being said, Reggie Bush, you do you, though. So, I'm going to hit you with some Calvin Harris. I need your love. Take it easy, guys. Enjoy.
Hey, everyone, this is Demi Lovato. And you're listening to today's Top Hits
Radio Free Radford.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Rines Report. This is, again, your host, Tristan Blake Rines, still joined here by Ray Amato to top off our last 15 minutes of the hour. We're going to be talking the Super Bowl, of course, so... Let's just start it off here. Who do you think is going to win this game, Ray? I want to hear your pick, and possibly, if you can, give me a score. We'll debate it back and forth if need be.
Definitely who's going to win the Super Bowl? Patriots, hands down.
You got the Patriots?
I've got the Patriots winning it. I've got them winning it 30-27.
30-27. So everybody's predicting close games overall. I've had a surprise. We're going to have a change in pick on our next upcoming guests to the listeners. If you listened last week. But, I don't know, I feel like it's going to be a good game. It's going to be one score. I feel like it just comes down to the fact that Belichick is an amazing head coach.
Oh, yeah.
We have a really good coaching staff all over the board, and we've just been there before, man. We have the experience. That's really a big factor to me, is the experience. Like I said, the Falcons haven't been there, man. They just haven't. It's just not there yet for them. I feel like they had the potential to be back, but nobody predicted Atlanta coming to the Super Bowl this year. You know what I mean? Everybody's like, oh, Patriots and whoever the heck in the NFC.
It's kind of like when Seattle did it.
Yeah.
They showed up randomly, and so did the Panthers. They showed up randomly in one season.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what I think is going to happen with Atlanta. They're going to show up randomly, maybe not get the win. As, the
NFC is a tougher conference, by the way, too.
Yeah,
It's a lot more NFC, it's a lot more defensively sound all over the board. Like a lot of these teams, like Dallas, they had a good defense this year. They got really far. Green Bay's defense pretty good. The offense is what drove them, but their defense actually could keep them in the games as well. Minnesota, we saw them being a huge threat at the beginning of the season because their defense was so good.
Yeah, their defense was phenomenal.
Oh, yeah. If their offense could get a little more chemistry, like they probably would have been a playoff team. They were pretty close for most of the season, too. But when it comes down to this game in particular, I don't feel like Atlanta has enough defense to stop the Patriots. It's also, they're really young.
Oh, yeah.
A bulk of that player personnel are rookies and second-year players. And I'm like, last week's show, I kind of took away from it, but they're like, oh, yeah, they're still really good. And I was like, well, yeah, but it's Tom Brady, dude. Like,
the Atlanta's defense is really what's just going to be the deciding factor of this game. If they have their one good game, they have a shot.
They've been playing really well up to this point, but as a Patriots fan, I know when the bubble bursts, it happens. Yeah. And sometimes it happens at the worst spot. Sometimes Super Bowl, you can go 18-0, get to the Super Bowl. You need 19 games to win the whole deal, but you pop the bubble pops. It happens, and unfortunately, like I know what it feels like, but it does happen. I'm not saying Atlanta's bubble will pop this game, but it could happen. You never know. They're on a huge hot streak. Green Bay, their bubble popped 2 weeks ago. You know what I mean?
Bubble popped to Atlanta, though.
Yeah, bubble popped to Atlanta.
Who was on another hot streak.
Dallas is bubble popped the first game of the playoffs for them. It's just a matter of when it stops. I feel like New England, they're just very well prepared, very well versed.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's tough for me to pick against New England, even as an analyst. And, of course, I'm going to go on here. I'm a Patriots fan. I know it. And everybody comes on, oh, it's because you're a Patriots. And no, like, as an analyst, I'm still picking New England. It's hard for me to pick against them no matter what. But it's also a little bit of bias. I'm not going to rule that out, though. It's just a little personal feeling. I'm going to say there's a little bias there, of course, but it's New England, man. They've been there. It's Tom. It's Belichick. I feel like Brady gets his 5th ring. Quick little question. Is Brady now the greatest quarterback of all time. Even if he doesn't win this game, going to 7 Super Bowls, is he the greatest quarterback of all time?
I put him up there in the top 3. I don't see him greatest of all time yet. But I feel like he's going to probably get there within the next couple of years because most likely he's going to have another Super Bowl run in him. Even if this one falls out, he's going to have another Super Bowl run in him. It's Brady.
Yeah.
And the fact that he came in as a 6th rounder quarterback
In 2000.
In 2000, nobody expected him to do anything, and then he showed up. The guy got injured. He comes in. Next thing you know, it was like,
Drew Bledsoe. Yeah.
Where did this guy come from?
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know, man. I feel like this is gonna be the time. It's hard for me, like, even a little bit of fan bias. As the analyst, though, I can't put him below anybody at this point. Joe Montana was a great quarterback, amazing quarterback, but heck, I even found a little statistic, or just a comparison to statistics. In the regular season comparison, Tom Brady has 183 wins to Joe Montana's 117. Tom Brady has 24 playoff wins to Joe's 16. 456 touchdown passes to Joe's 273. He's been to 12 Pro Bowls to Joe's 8. 2 regular season MVPs each. Super Bowl MVPs 3 each. 7 Super Bowl appearances to 4 Super Bowl appearances. Tom's got them. And then they both have the same amount of titles.
See,
when you look at it like that, it's Tom.
Yeah.
It's tough to put him over. It's tough to put Joe at that point over Tom.
The way I look at it, the reason I still have Joe over him just a little is because you got back in the past, you did have the NFL was not as strict with all their rules.
They were a little rougher.
They were a little rougher, and there were a couple instances that, like, granted that I think it was the 01 season, the Tuck rule.
Mm-hmm.
They came in. Had that have not happened, which they got rid of that rule like second after they used it.
Mm-hmm.
Had that have not happened, Brady would be down a Super Bowl, and a couple other reasons. I still see Montana up there, but I've got a feeling Brady's going to take it.
I mean, if you wanted to throw in the amount of well, if this wouldn't have happened, then you wouldn't have the Super Bowls. Well, if Joe Montana didn't have Jerry Rice,
true, that is very true.
In my opinion, the greatest overall football player of all time. If he didn't have Jerry Rice, I don't think he has a couple of those Super Bowls.
Oh yeah.
Neither does Steve Young doesn't have one of those Super Bowls if he doesn't have Jerry Rice. Well, maybe he still does because they destroyed the Chargers in that game. But
I'm still not sure about that though.
but Jerry Rice, you have a really good defense. Ronnie Lott on your team for a long time too. You have the 49er teams are really good outside of just Joe Montana. He never really had a truly, as a quarterback, it's a very valuable position to have.
Yeah.
No doubt about that. We've seen it throughout the entire history of the NFL. They're really valuable. But, dude, you have Jerry Rice. Like, the Raiders had Jerry Rice, and they still made it to the Super Bowl. Back in, 2001, they made the Super Bowl with Jerry Rice on their team.
Yeah.
And who was throwing the ball to him? Rich Gannon. Rich Gannon.
Yeah, so that was a surprise in my book.
Yeah, they've lost the Super Bowl, but they still made it. He was on Seattle at one point. And they were pretty good with him. It's hard to argue that actually not hard to argue, but dude, if you have Jerry Rice, I'd say it's Tom also because he's gone through so much different personnel.
True. He has gone through a lot of different
guys
people.
come and go. The only 2 things that are consistent are Belichick and Brady on that actual team.
And Gronk's been consistent for a couple years.
He hasn't been there for all the Super Bowl runs, though. He's been there for
he hasn't been there for the Super Bowl runs, but what I mean by that is he's being consistent, and he's probably going to...
When he's on the field, he makes a difference, but, I mean, obviously it isn't the biggest... It isn't the biggest deal to have him because what we've seen with, how we progressed throughout the season. So, that's just my thoughts on it, personally. That's why I think Brady's the greatest of all time. When you go to, the... I don't know, man. Super Bowl picks. That's where we started out. Excuse me. So, overall, Ray and I both have the New England Patriots. My score at the moment is 27-20 New England. I changed it up from last week, but 27-20 New England. It's going to be a good game, but it comes down to either one final drive or the defense stops Atlanta. So, this is the toughest task for Atlanta. Thank you very much for coming on today, Ray. We're going to close you out here, bringing in our next guest, Terrance and Nicholas today. It's going to be a good time, so stick around, guys. I'm going to play some classic by MTKO. Enjoy.
Radio Free Radford.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Rines Report. This is your host, Tristan Blake Rines. I'm now joined by Terrance Schoefield and Nicholas Penninger, of course. We're going to be talking right now about the top 5 quarterbacks of all time. So I'm going to start off with you guys. Who are your guys' top 5? Oh, of course. I mean, you guys can flip a coin, or I can just choose. So
You can choose.
I'm going to go with Nick. Nick first.
Top 5. Let me see how I sound. I sound great. All right, I sound great. I would think the top 5 is Brady, and numero uno. It's got to be Brady. 2, Joe Montana. 3 is where I come into question of who I think number 3 is.
It's really just a matter of who the runner-ups are.
Yeah, I think it has to do with it's difficult at that point to compare stats and then impact on the game and just talent.
Yeah.
But I think 3 probably goes. I don't want to say Peyton Manning. I think 3 is probably Johnny U.
Johnny Unitas.
And then 4, Peyton.
Yeah.
Just purely off incredible stats and winning 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Because obviously Dan Marino is not top 5, but
because he didn't get championships.
right. But if he had even won, he'd
be top 3.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
And then 5, it's not Elway.
Thought you might have gave it that.
It's not Elway. Because I'm going off talent and stats and success. He had success. That's about it. Talent-wise, John Elway was not talently. He wasn't incredible when it comes to actually everything that quarterbacks are good at. Look at freaking John Elway compared to Drew Brees. It's really not even close.
That's a tough one for me too, because it's number 5.
Who do you have at 5?
Me? Mm-hmm. I gave it to Elway mainly because of how many Super Bowls he went to.
Yeah.
I really, really wanted to put Drew Brees in there, just because Drew Brees he's super talented, statistical monster.
He has one Super Bowl, yeah.
He has one Super Bowl, yeah. Which is why, I'd put him. It's sad to say, but in the conversation, who's better between him and Marino? I'd say Brees at this point.
Yeah.
Marino was an amazing quarterback, but he went to the one Super Bowl, didn't win it, and then never went back.
Which really sucks.
He went his rookie year against Joe Montana and lost.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of who my 5 is. Let me think. I'll give you a 5.
You'll give me a 5 after Terrance goes through his?
Yeah.
So who are your 5, man?
Unfortunately, even though
there's so much hate in your heart.
So much hate in my heart.
I don't know how.
I really don't want to say this, but I mean, I got to do what I got to do. Tom Brady is number 1. He's been there 7 times. He's won 4. So, I mean, not too many other quarterbacks
he'll
have
been there 7 times and possibly won 5.
Yeah, possibly.
If
the possibility is up there, if they want to cheat again. But anyway, I'm going to just leave that alone.
Excuse you.
So then I was really stuck between him and Joe Montana.
So that's definitely your 1-2 right there.
Yeah, it's my 1 and 2. Maybe Joe could be 1. He has a reasonable fight to be number 1 too, in my opinion.
Well, yeah.
But Tom Brady, it's the Patriots. It's Tom Brady.
And
that's what I've seen
it's the
too.
Success.
So it's it's the success. It's what him and Bill Belichick has done. So I get that. My number 3.
Because I had some stuff ready in case you guys wanted to argue with me over this.
Oh.
I just want to know where he has Tony Romo on the top 5.
Me?
Because
because
I know it's there.
No.
He's coming in at 5.
Oh, no, it's going to be Troy Aikman.
It's going to be 4.
There you go. Troy was going to be in there.
Troy Aikman at 4.
So it's Tom, it's Joe, and then who your 3, 4, 5?
Peyton.
Peyton at 3.
Peyton at 3. Peyton's stats, and he done a lot, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's got almost every statistical regular season mark. So, it's very fair. He's got 2 rings to his name. So, it's very fair. Who's your 4? So, is it going to be Romo or is it going to be Aikman at 4?
I'm gonna take Aikman. I'm gonna take Aikman.
Aikman at 4?
Yeah, I had to.
And I don't know why.
As our resident Cowboy fan.
I had to. It's not sad.
We've had some good quarterbacks, but I wouldn't throw any of them in top 5.
Troy Aikman ain't nowhere up there?
No.
He could be 6.
I don't know.
I know he said top 5. He couldn't be 6.
You think Troy Aikman was better than Steve Young?
Do you think Troy Aikman was better than Steve Young?
You put me in a tight place right there, bud.
Steve Young was tough.
Yeah, he definitely was. He definitely was tough with the lefty.
Steve Young is close to being my number 5. If only, but I can't put him ahead of Dan Marino, and I can't put Dan Marino at 5.
You couldn't put him over Drew Brees either. They only got the same number of Super Bowls.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd put Drew Brees before Steve Young.
So
Steve Young was an amazing
top
quarterback.
10?
Hall of Famer.
But if you can't put Steve Young there, you certainly can't put Troy Aikman there. Not saying Troy Aikman wasn't good.
Troy Aikman won his championships, but he had some stacked teams.
Who was better, Troy Aikman or Otto Graham?
What was it like before the Super Bowl period ever started? Didn't
Right.
Otto Graham win like 8 championships in a row way back when the
That was like when you were allowed to drink before you played.
Yeah.
Yeah. I bet he was.
Otto Graham was nice.
Otto Graham would be in my top 10. It's just more of like
Otto Graham's definitely top 10.
yeah, of course. He'd be at like 6 or 7. Like it's just like the periods have changed and so much more has changed in the
Otto
NFL.
Graham is so but he's one of those people where you'd think his talent would translate.
Yeah.
Especially now in the age of like
How deep
West Coast.
Yeah.
I think he'd be a sick West Coast quarterback.
Yeah, I can see it.
Sick.
I mean, back in the day, man, like he was the man.
He was. He was. He was quite literally the man.
Yeah,
Like,
on the Browns.
He was. I know.
Before the Browns became an NFL
I know.
team.
They should stop. They should quit complaining.
We had Otto Graham and Jim Brown. Yeah, before Super Bowls were real.
That's true. It was before. Nobody
Before
really
Super
cared.
Bowls was real. Oh man.
So yeah, who are your 4 and 5? Bud? Can't have this long silence, man. You got.
I know. I was stuck. I was trying to debate this by myself, but I mean, it's hard. I was really stuck. I like Dan Marino too, but he didn't win. I mean, let's go. He didn't win.
He didn't. Well, he didn't
So
win.
I mean,
he went to 1, but he didn't win.
he didn't win, and he almost had the whole undefeated season.
Wait, no. Wait, that was
Want that Dan Marino?
no, that was Greasy.
No, that was way too old for Dan Marino.
No,
No, I thought Dan Marino
was-
went 6.
Wasn't that?
I thought
was
Dan
the-
Marino
that
went
was,
16. I thought he went like.
Wasn't that like the 76 something Dolphins? Wasn't like the 70s?
72.
Yeah,
You
that's
sure?
too old for Dan Marino.
You sure?
Marino
coulda
played in
s-
the 80s.
Yeah, but I thought Dan Marino was one
Time
of the
to
teams.
Google it.
Yeah, I'm pretty.
Just what number are you on?
I'm
4?
pretty. He's
Yeah.
on.
Just
he's
throw
on
George
4.
Bland in there.
George Bland at 4. Nah,
I'm
he's
pretty
at
sure-
he's at his 4th pick.
Just throw Jamarcus on 4.
Jamarcus. Oh my goodness.
We had that.
Fourth
No.
worst player of all time. He's probably number 1.
The best number 1 pick ever.
He's probably the worst player of all time.
I mean, where does Ryan Leaf go in then?
Ryan Leaf, yeah, but if you had to start a team around Ryan Leaf or Jamarcus Russell,
Oh my goodness. So would I rather build like a car around like
would you rather have a car with 1 wheel
or
or
2?
1.5 wheels? Or one wheel or 1 wheel that was built like a block?
So 1 wheel and 1 flat tire?
Yeah, exactly. And built like a block. I give him a cuckoo.
Oh man. Well, he's googling. I'll let you keep thinking on
Okay.
it, but I'm gonna give you guys my top 5. My top 5, I'm gonna go 1 Brady for
Okay.
obvious reasons, and I can support it with evidence over
Okay.
Montana.
Okay.
72 Dolphins.
So 72.
Don Shula.
Yeah, of course.
So I was wrong.
Yeah, he definitely didn't play in the 70s. Who was their quarterback?
Greasy, wouldn't it?
Greasy.
Yeah. So for my picks, though, I got Tom Brady number 1, Joe Montana number 2, number 3 Peyton Manning, number
Okay.
4 Johnny Unitas, and then number 5 I'm gonna put Elway in there. But it's tough for me to not like. For me, number 5 was a big debate because Elway has the accolades to be at 5. I feel like he deserves it because of what he did. If you wanted to go purely off of statistics, you would put Drew Brees in there at number 5. If you wanted to pick talent,
So when are you gonna change it to the point to where are we talking about is it important to win rings, a Super Bowl ring, or are we just gonna go off
I think it comes down to the hardware you walk away with the game with. And Drew Brees, as amazing of a quarterback as he is, as many 5,000-yard seasons as he has the 1 ring, which is great and all, but he's not leaving with enough when he leaves this game because
So
they
then
haven't done enough to give him a super big winning
So then
team.
would
after
Tom
that.
Brady still be your number 1 if he didn't have 4 championships?
If he didn't have 4 championships?
So
No, he wouldn't be a number 1 if he didn't have the 4 championships.
I think it only matters.
His stats wouldn't matter. So his stats.
His stats aren't irrelevant of like Brady, as great as he is, as many games as he wins. He doesn't have the stats of like Drew Brees.
Are you talking like greatest, like what it takes to be the greatest of all time, or top 5? Like,
I mean, obviously Brady's the number 1.
Like,
So
what I mean is like when you say
Because
like,
Brady has the hardware, he has the MVP,
Right.
he has the accolades,
So that's what I'm saying. So say
and
if
he does have great statistics as well.
yeah, he does.
Leads the NFL in touchdown passes.
I think it takes 1 or 2 to be considered top 5.
1 or 2 Super Bowl
Yeah,
rings.
to be considered top 5, you
Or
have
excuse
1
me,
or 2.
he has the most wins in it.
Because 1 or 2 is above average. Think about it. How many quarterbacks win 1 or 2 Super Bowls? I mean, there's the occasional that win 1. You know what I mean?
But,
Like,
I mean,
let's say
like-
like Russell
but-
Wilson. We never know if he'll win another one.
But like guys like
They won't because they don't have their
I feel
running
like-
back no more.
But
He
you
could.
think about
He's
it.
he's super talented.
But if you think about it, the guys who've also made it to the Super Bowl, like Rex Grossman, Trent Dilfer has a Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. I mean, so
Right, but he doesn't have the stats. That's what I mean. It's like what he's saying is like how many, even if you have stats, at what point does it only matter about your hardware? At what point?
So
Drew
Brees got all the stats.
Rings.
You said
Drew Brees has amazing stats.
Amazing
has
stats.
one
Only
Super Bowl.
one
Well, look
ring.
at that.
So say if he had
my
3.
argument is really like guys like Trent Dilfer can make it there with an amazing defense. Drew Brees went there as a great quarterback with a pretty good defense to his name. And
Tracy
it was
Porter.
I was also trying to kill people.
yeah, Greg
Let's
Williams
not forget.
defense.
Let's
Let's
not
not forget that actually
They
happened.
were actually trying to hurt people
For money.
Like,
Like-
who was it? Who was it who dove at what's his name's knee?
Who
Who was it? Chris Harris who got dove at?
I'm trying to remember.
Do you remember that?
But then where they
but I
almost
can't
like
remember
killed
the
Brett
dude's
Favre.
name.
No, you remember when when the cornerback this year when he was jogging and the dude was walking in front of him like he was gonna lay a block and then he dove directly in front of him at his
Oh
knee.
yeah. That happened this year.
Yeah.
I forgot who
It
that
was
was.
Chris Harris who got dove at. I don't remember who did it.
Oh, it was against the Titans, wasn't it? It was I'm pretty sure.
yeah.
It was against the Titans.
Yeah, I don't remember who it was, but you remember that?
Yeah, I
That
remember.
was crazy. I still don't know how he didn't get
He didn't get no kind of
incredibly
yeah
suspended
nothing.
for that.
He didn't
That's
get nothing.
ridiculous.
He didn't get
He literally
anything.
was walking.
I think
in front
Akeem
of him.
Talib got worse because he went to go fight
That's what
the
it
guy.
was. It was it was it the Broncos
Yeah,
and
it was
I
the
think,
Titans.
I think it was Chris Harris though who got dove at.
He got dove at,
And somebody-
then Akeem
somebody
Talib
on the
came
Bron-
up
yeah, somebody
and
on
tried
the-
to fight the dude.
Because
Yeah.
that's crazy. He was like, "Oh, well, it's legal. It's legal, but it's
Like,
Like,
why?
It's so, it's
It's
so
wrong.
disrespectful.
It's
Yeah,
wrong, right.
You're trying to ruin that man's career.
right. It's only because he missed that it wouldn't have been a big thing. You know what I mean? Had they have
Yeah.
watched that and he had actually dove into his knee, you know what I mean? That would have been like
Yeah.
that's
But-
crazy. That and he didn't even like try to hide it.
But yeah, when it comes down to like the top 5 like all time, I feel like it takes a couple of championships, which is good. Elway's got 2. But he went to 5. Drew went to 1. And he won 1, which is awesome and everything. But so did Dan Marino. Dan Marino went to 1 Super Bowl. He didn't come home with a ring, but he went to a Super Bowl.
Right.
He's still a top 10 quarterback of all time. I'm not saying that. Like Brett Favre could be in this conversation because he went to a few Super Bowls, but he only won the 1. You know what I mean? Like there's a number
I love
of
Brett Favre.
Brett Favre is an amazing quarterback.
People hate on.
I wish he would have got the. I wish he would have won with the Vikings.
I honestly that would have been.
I think
so,
everybody wanted him.
I
to win
really
the
wanted him
Vikings.
to win.
Even
did.
if you didn't like the
I
Vikings.
wanted him to win
had
with
an
the Vikings.
I had an Adrian Peterson jersey from that year because I liked the Vikings so much.
Yeah,
that year.
but the
When
only
do you
reason I
think he's
wanted
coming
him.
out of retirement.
Huh?
Brett Favre.
Oh yeah, he's coming back
Going
out.
for round
Yeah.
number 4.
Yeah.
And go play for the Jets.
He could. Honestly, I honestly think that if Brett Favre tried out for the Jets, he could be the number 1 option.
I mean, he was their quarterback before.
Yeah,
so.
like right now, he's probably more talented than everything.
Geno Smith.
Oh,
The
Gino.
broken jaw.
Oh, poor Gino.
That's a future Hall of Famer right there.
Future. Past Hall of Famer. That dude should have been in. It's too bad you can't let somebody in when they're still playing.
But yeah, that's why. But that's overall. That's why I put Elway in though, is because he went to the Super Bowls. I mean, even though he lost 3, he won 2. You know what I mean? Like when we talk about like why LeBron James is so great, he went to so many championships. Like I can easily see the comparison. Like, oh, he won championships. He won a bunch of times and won a few.
But like, let's say
championships.
LeBron won none of his championships,
He
right?
wouldn't be considered
Oh.
anything.
Well, let's just say because he's been to how many in a row now?
I think
7.
he's been to
A whole
7.
lot.
He's
okay?
been to 7 conference
That's
finals.
crazy. That's crazy to go to that
And
many.
he's been to 6 in a row.
He's been to 6 in a row NBA championships. If he won none of those, okay,
That'd be really tragic. He'd be worse than the Buffalo Bills.
where would he would he be in the
No, he wouldn't be considered. Because in
considered what? He'd still be considered top 5.
He'd be considered one of the best players of all time.
Yeah,
But
he would be a Charles
without-
Barkley.
without a championship. He'd be. I could see
I
that.
don't know.
I mean,
I
I'm not
would-
saying to the degree of Charles Barkley, but like he would be, he would be one of the greatest that never won.
He'd be the best player of a generation, but it'd be terrible if he never
Because
won.
I mean, look at John Stockton. Actually, look at John Stockton and Karl Malone. Both of them won none. And,
But they're great.
And many people consider Karl Malone to be the best power forward of all time.
No, that's Tim Duncan.
You could argue Tim Duncan and Karl Malone.
Yeah.
Right, but look at how many rings Tim Duncan has. Look at how many rings Karl Malone.
That's
has.
why Karl Malone is not considered.
But he is. People argue that all the time.
But Tim Duncan will win because he has 5 rings.
Who's the best point guard of all time? Pure point guard.
Point guard?
Not people who carry the ball up the court, because that's LeBron if you really want to go there. But
Okay.
best pure point guard of all time. Who's the best pure point guard of all time?
Magic.
Magic.
I could probably see, yeah.
You can say Magic. You can say John Stockton also.
Yeah, you could.
Get some rings John Stockton.
John Stockton averaged a double-double his entire career.
I think football and basketball are a little bit different though.
Yeah.
I think if you win
The dynamic-
6 Super Bowls
If you win 6, I mean, if you
in
were
a
to go-
row and lost all of them,
Or-
you'd almost get laughed at more than you'd get respect.
Well, look at the Bills from the 80s.
I know,
they went to
in a row.
4
and
in
they
a
lost
row.
to the NFC East every time.
Yeah.
Oh, that
every
would make
time.
me so mad. What was it, like 2 Cowboys?
It was 2 for the Cowboys. One of the
Redskins.
first one was to the Giants, I'm pretty sure, and the second one was
Giants,
to the Redskins.
Redskins, 2 Cowboys.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
And then the Cowboys went back
games.
2 years later.
And that never happens these days. Because isn't it like shown that like in like the last like 10 years, every playoff Super Bowl team doesn't go to the playoffs next year?
Well, the winner most of the time. The Patriots. Besides the Patriots, like I think every team that's won the Super Bowl didn't make the playoffs.
Because the Giants both times didn't go back.
Yeah.
The
or not the Cowboys. Yeah, the Giants. The Steelers, Packers.
Packers.
Panthers.
The
The
Panthers
Panthers.
didn't go back.
Yeah.
The Broncos,
Yeah.
right?
Well, the Broncos went back, but they didn't win the Super Bowl. I think they lost in the playoffs to us.
Did the Broncos go back?
They went after.
I mean, they just
they
won
went after
this year,
48,
too.
and they
No,
lost.
didn't they have what's it good? Didn't they not go with
They went with Peyton Manning.
Twice.
No, what's his name? After Peyton Manning won, they didn't get back with what's his name? Dude for the Texans.
Osweiler?
Yeah.
But no,
No,
Peyton Manning was there.
They went in Super Bowl 48,
Mm-hmm.
lost, and then I think they went back to the playoffs, lost to the Patriots.
And then the Patriots
48.
beat the Seahawks.
Because that was Super Bowl 49 the year after
Did the
that.
Broncos get that far?
Might have. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Let me look it up. 'Cause, I mean, but it is crazy though how many Super Bowl teams can't contend. That doesn't happen in basketball.
No, if you're a contender, like you're
You-
back in the playoffs,
Right,
At
that-
least,
right,
And if
that-
you're in the East, if you're going to the finals, you have LeBron. So
I mean, LeBron's going to make it every time. In the
That's
East.
so true. I'd like to see LeBron play in the West.
Dude,
I
it'd be
honestly
so
would.
crazy.
I
But the East
honestly
would be
would.
like, all right, so which one of you guys wants to lose this year in the finals? Like,
Yeah, that's, yeah.
because there's so much talent on the West. There's
so much talent on the East. It's just young.
It's just young
Who?
talent. But like LeBron, you can go anywhere in the East
Who's
and he makes
talented
it.
on the East Coast?
That's young.
I'm telling you,
Isaiah Thomas.
Isaiah Thomas has been in the
Dennis
league a while,
Schroeder.
bro. Okay, Dennis Schroeder, I'll give you.
Dennis Schroeder's a beast.
Lowry, DeRozan.
Lowry's
They've
Lowry.
been. They're not young anymore,
I don't know
though.
who's
They're-
younger. No, Lowry I wouldn't say. I'd still say DeRozan's young.
He been there a while, bro. Because at first he was just.
Chris
he-
Stapps Porzingis.
Okay, that's,
Stats,
okay,
the god.
The god himself.
okay. That's
Like-
one.
Whiteside.
Yeah, Hassan Whiteside's a beast.
Yeah. If he was on a better team.
He should have went to the Lakers when the Lakers gave
Anthony,
tried to give him a contract.
Anthony Davis.
Anthony Davis
It's
is a
in the West.
monster.
That's East Coast. Pelicans are East, aren't they?
No, that's
No,
West.
they're West.
Pelicans aren't East.
They're
No,
West.
that's West.
They're a West team.
There's a lot. There's young talent in East Coast places. There really is. Dennis Schroeder's a monster.
Yeah, I give credit to him.
Yeah.
It's crazy
How did we
got
get
on
from top
basketball.
five?
Chris Stapps is the
To
god.
basketball.
Yeah, it always happens whenever I bring on Nick, man. We go from like, we're gonna use LeBron comparison every single time.
I think it matters.
it does matter though.
I think it counts. If we're just sitting here talking football all the time, people are gonna be like, "Why are you always talking about football?"
Well, that's what we're good at.
Let's talk about football. We gotta be well rounded.
But did you ever give me your 5? Because you said Troy at 4, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you said Troy at 4. But that's his pick. That's his pick.
Let
We're
me-
gonna let him.
like,
We're
can
gonna
I-
let him honor his
That's
pick,
rough.
Nick.
That's rough.
I could see your. I could
How
see
about
you
Jim
boiling.
Plunkett?
Jim Plunkett.
Plunkett's the beast.
He was good. He was good.
He was good. He was good, and he also didn't have Emmitt Smith and.
You could put Roger Staubach in at 5. Honestly, I could see it. Roger Staubach
would-
was amazing back in the day.
Now y'all making me want to take Troy Aikman off.
Was Troy Aikman a great kicker? You know who was? George Blanda.
George Blanda.
You know what? I ain't gonna let y'all make me change my pick. You know, so I'm gonna stay
keep
with
him there,
I'm
keep
gonna
him
stay with Troy Aikman, and then I'm gonna go with John Elway.
Troy Aikman and then John Elway.
Yeah.
You put Troy over just because of the rings, I'm sure.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair.
Troy had some stacked teams.
He did though.
He won.
Dude, he had Deion Sanders for. He had Deion Sanders, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin, one of the best offensive lines ever.
Hey, Dallas is always good at the offensive
Michael
line.
Irvin, the original Calvin Johnson,
Oh.
the original physical receiver.
The original. Well, he's more like the original Des Bryant, really, because like Des Bryant, Des Bryant is Michael Irvin.
Des Bryant wishes he was Michael Irvin.
I'm just saying, like he's.
How many
like,
people has Des Bryant stabbed in the neck?
Oh my goodness.
You know how many people Michael Irvin has stabbed in the neck?
Oh
One.
God.
Did I ever tell that story?
You might have told me. I'm gonna just pull it up on the internet here.
My friend's dad went to school with a guy. He was his friend who played for the Cowboys, and Michael Irvin stabbed him in the neck over a barber chair.
Let me see. Oh man.
Took scissors to his neck over.
Michael, let me see. This is off of Complex.com. Michael Irvin is the headline. Stabbed a teammate with scissors over haircut.
Mm-hmm. Called him a rookie. Right, guy wasn't a rookie. He was like his third team Cowboys. Some guy said, "Don't get up. I don't let him talk to you like that." And he was like, "No, screw you." And Michael Irvin was like, "Get up." And he shoved him. Michael Irvin took a pair of scissors. Ka. That's why longest yard is so funny to me, because I always imagine that it's Michael Irvin in prison after he stabbed that guy.
Oh my goodness.
That's how I see it in my head. I'm just like, that's what he gets for stabbing that dude. And then he goes up.
We're gonna play for some McNuggets.
Always protect the McNuggets.
That's a great.
That is a great movie.
How many players did they have in that movie?
They didn't have many players. They had
a
wrestlers.
They had a lot of wrestlers and like a lot of like cameo guys. They had Stone Cold.
Because the wrestlers were because they're huge.
Yeah.
They had Kevin Nash, who was the one who took the. Kevin Nash was the one who took the estrogen.
Yeah, and
remember when he takes the Gatorade? Who took all the Gatorade? When he smashes the thing, and he's like.
So sorry.
That was Kevin Nash. They had Stone Cold Steve Austin. They had Nelly.
They had the Great Khali.
They had the Great Khali. They had
Michael Irvin was in the movie.
They had what's his name? Oh, they had the old linebacker. He was a prison guard. They did a documentary on him. You know what I'm talking about?
I can't think.
Bosworth?
Yes, the Boz. The Boz was in there.
Uh
huh. He's a player. He wasn't a player then, but he was
a
a beast in real life.
They had Goldberg in the movie too.
Goldberg was a monster in that. They had Joey Diaz.
The Hammer.
Joey Diaz is nobody.
The Hammer.
He goes, "You mean I could tackle him? Yeah, you could hit him over the head with that iguana."
Oh man. So we've established our top fives of all time. Let's move on to the next subject because we love going all over the place, ladies and gentlemen. The NFL teams with the biggest upside heading into the next season.
Raiders.
Cowboys. These are teams that.
Thank you. I appreciate that one.
These are teams.
The
these are the teams I have on my list are teams that did not make the playoffs. I'm sorry I didn't make this super specific, but teams that didn't make the playoffs that have a chance at making it next year.
Mm-hmm.
So mine, I'm going to start with the Indianapolis Colts. Mainly because I feel like they can do a lot this offseason. They got a new GM, or they're looking for a GM.
Did you see Pat McAfee retired?
Yes, I did.
That's big.
He was
a good punter.
He was a really good
He's
punter.
probably, if not the best, one of the best punters in the league right now.
Besides Marquette King.
Besides Marquette King.
I love Marquette
He's
King.
so
by
good.
the way.
Everything, and he geeks. He had an Instagram post.
Yeah, I'm
somebody
on Instagram.
posted a picture of him, like the Raiders posted a picture of him, and Marquette King commented, and he goes, "Please take this photo down," because he didn't like the way he looked in it. Dude, Marquette King is so funny, and he's always on Instagram.
Yeah. But the Colts, I can see it. I can really see them becoming one of those good teams. Because Andrew Luck comes back, and he's probably going to play really healthy.
Yeah,
hopefully they build their offensive line.
Year.
Hopefully they build that offensive line, and they really need help on defense. So
I feel like they need help everywhere.
Oh, I mean, receivers, they have T.Y.
Hilton.
They got Dante Moncrief.
Nice.
They got some decent receivers.
Yeah, T.Y. Hilton.
T.Y. led the league, or besides Julio, I think he
kept
led the AFC in receiving.
T.Y. Hilton's a beast. I look at T.Y. Hilton as like a shorter, what's his name? A shorter, dude on the Texans.
DeAndre Hopkins?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay.
He's a lot faster.
He's a shorter DeAndre Hopkins. Like both of them, if both of them were on a team that had what was well rounded, because obviously T.Y. Hilton does have a good quarterback.
He does.
Oh my!
But
if Andrew Luck
has so many issues behind that line.
Yeah.
It's like it's not even fair what they put Andrew.
Like every once in a while they
Andrew
play
Luck on the
really
Texans.
Oh my God, they'd be sick.
well. Yes.
They'd be sick.
They need to find the quarterback situation. They need to figure it out. Either Brock Osweiler needs to figure out that if he loves
What are
football
they going to do
or
with Brock Osweiler?
I don't know.
Cause
The ownership's kind of fed up with his lack of production already.
He was supposed to be better than what he was. They paid him the money.
They won a playoff game.
You think he could?
It's because the Raiders was
Osweiler
out.
doesn't count. Yeah, I know.
That shouldn't really count.
They play terrible against us. I keep saying this. How we
Like,
had
if they
Derek
got-
Carr,
if you
we
guys
would
had
have
Derek
ran
Carr.
through them.
Y'all would have won the AFC Championship.
Would have ran through them.
If we would have, I'm glad we ended up playing the Texans. If we would have played anybody else who was better the way we played against the Texans, we would have lost that game. I'm just saying. Like,
No, it wasn't a great game for you guys. But
No.
it was a good time.
It
to
was.
have
It was.
back.
It wasn't a great first half. Second
Believe me,
half, y'all-
in the terms of how playoff games go, that was a terrible playoff game by like a terrible team versus a really good team.
Yeah.
That's the only reason we scored 34 points. was
Yeah.
because they were just that bad.
Yeah, anybody else on that night, it would have been tough for you guys.
Yeah, like if we would have played Pittsburgh at that point, they would have beat.
Y'all would have lost.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Pittsburgh just would have
lost.
capitalized. As well as the Colts, I could see the Eagles with the biggest upside coming in. They could probably get some. I could really see them
Deshaun
targeting
Jackson.
Deshaun Jackson. We were talking about that with Ray before you guys came, man. We were talking about the possible like pickups. I could see Alshon Jeffrey going. I could see them making a really big move to get him.
Somebody, okay, I don't know if you can confirm this for me, but I had two friends tell me that Gronk might be leaving the Patriots. Somebody told me
No.
that. Somebody told me
I don't
that.
see that happening.
And
They speculated because of his injury history, but
And
he's
y'all don't
too-
like injuries.
He's too good to get.
Where would he
rid
go?
of. Exactly. Yeah. Really.
I'm not even saying.
You-
I'm,
we can-
I'm
Where
never-
would, I'm just saying, where would Gronk go? Like,
but this
not
is
who would
what two
sign
people
him.
told me. Two people told me. I'm not even saying this because I'm a
We're
Cowboys
just
fan.
saying these are non-credible
these are
sources.
these
Yeah.
are not credible
Is
sources.
it CNN?
No sir, it's the
Chill
Radford
out.
Gym. It's
Did
the
you
Radford
Google- did you
Gym.
Google this?
No,
The Ra-
it's
this
the
was the
Radford
Radford
Gym. The Radford
But
Gym.
these are just casual fans.
They one of them was a Steelers fan and another one was a Patriots fan, and they said that they seen somewhere that Gronk wanted to go to the Cowboys.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, and it was more speculation.
Oh, I don't think Gronk would go to the Cowboys.
I'm not saying he would, but I just wanted to know. I was hyped.
I saw the
you
speculation.
guys couldn't afford him.
You couldn't afford him, but I saw the speculation of them possibly letting him go, and it's not confirmed.
And if you got Gronk, you'd have to drop probably an offensive lineman.
Witten would be gone.
Yeah.
I mean, but the
Witten.
win's about over.
Yeah, but contract-wise, you couldn't afford him. You'd have to drop somebody who's important to you.
Yeah,
Like
it'd be
who?
Dez. It'd be.
Are you willing to
Witten,
drop? Yeah, are you?
It'd be one of the offensive linemen. Are you willing to drop any one
Or
of those?
are
three?
you willing to give up Tony Romo in the situation that Dak doesn't work out?
Why would they? We
That's
would never
gonna
even.
work
We
out.
would never even trade for Tony Romo.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying if they got rid of Tony's contract.
Oh, we're going to get rid of that. He's not there. He's out.
No, I think he's there.
He's out.
Jerry Jones really likes.
Yeah, but he
I
wants
mean,
to
when
play.
the dude is married to his
and
daughter,
to be honest, I still don't see.
He wants to play.
I still don't think it's intelligent to ditch Tony Romo until you see Dak again. First season means nothing. Look at RG3.
yeah, that's very true.
Your first season, because once
Yeah,
defenses pick up on you,
Yeah, but
you need to
what did
adjust.
RG3 do?
What do
He
you mean?
ran the ball. That's all he did.
No, he didn't. He ran a savage West Coast offense.
He ran a savage. What was it?
Option.
Option. He ran savage option.
But Dak
People
didn't
were
do
so-
that.
people
Dak
were
didn't
so-
do that.
People were so afraid of RG3's speed.
But
that
he
they
didn't.
Were,
So
they
what?
were lacking in coverage.
But what did Dak do?
and then they would throw the ball down the field.
Right, but so Dak, the only thing they're going to have to do now is they're going to be less concerned with Dak on his feet and more concerned with
Yeah, but then he can
staying
still do
coverage.
that, though.
Yeah, but you think. You don't know. He's still a
So
rookie.
you still
He
he's still unpredictable.
And when it comes to like,
He is. What
when
I'm
it-
saying is
when
you
it-
don't know how long he can keep up what he's doing. I'm just saying it's not smart to ditch Tony Romo to at least one more season.
yeah,
I mean, but what
It's fair,
what
but
will
I was trying
Romo
to
do
get
for
him-
us? He's like how old is Tony
Tony
Romo?
Romo's a good quarterback, though. That's the thing. It's like I think it's funny with Cowboys fans is like when Tony Romo is playing, he's the GOAT.
No,
right?
he's
But when
not.
Tony Romo's
I've
not
never said
playing,
that.
You guys are like super harsh on him.
No, me. I've always said if we had a different quarterback, we would be better. I've always said that.
I don't think so.
Yes.
Tony Romo. You know how many teams in the league
He
would
doesn't-
love to have
If he-
had Tony Romo?
Yeah,
Let-
y'all could have had.
let me-
Anybody could have had
let
him
me
because
bring
he
up-
didn't do nothing. He didn't do anything for us.
There were a lot of
Let me
things
bring up
wrong
this point. Let me
with
bring
your
up this
team.
point.
It wasn't
Like-
just Tony Romo.
Well, here, give me a second here. If Tony Romo were to be able to remain, let's just say by chance, if he were to remain healthy throughout the entire season, you guys don't think that the Cowboys would have been nearly as good as they would have been this season if he would have just been healthy the whole season? Because the way that Tony Romo plays, they would have done just as well.
Yeah.
Maybe they might not have played defensively as well because they might not have had as much ambition. But I'm still saying they
Don't-
win close to as many games as they win.
I'm not going to say that just to the fact of
With
that.
Ezekiel Elliott in that backfield,
Yeah.
they still win that many games.
Who's a better quarterback, Dak Prescott or Tony Romo?
I mean, you're gonna choose experience because Dak's a rookie.
You can choose a lot of things. I've seen.
But
a lot
I'm
of
just
things
saying-
that
But
Tony
overall, who's
Romo-
more valuable to that team right now? That's tough. because
I
they
don't-
played incredibly well behind Dak Prescott.
So
They did, and I think just like you said, it's motivation.
Yes.
I think it hypes people up to have two rookies
man,
killing
yeah.
things. I think that hypes people
But
up. I'm saying
the only reason this okay, Tony Romo, first, second, third quarter, he good. But when it comes to when we need him,
Oh, excuse you. 1 second. I'm gonna stop you right there.
shut him down.
I'm gonna
Shut him down.
Dude, statistically, he had more
And
comeback victories than
right.
Peyton Manning did.
but listen,
When he was
I'm talking
starting
about
at
like big
quarterback?
games. I'm talking about big games.
He still had comeback victories.
And usually,
But
he
we
gets
didn't
hurt.
win.
He usually gets hurt.
We didn't win. He get hurt. We didn't win. He would mess up something, fumble the snap. Y'all remember that?
Well, usually a fumbled snap is borderline. Usually not the quarterback's fault. In some situations, I've seen it where the person hikes it right up into their nuts. Was it in the shotgun or was he in?
No, this is the field goal.
Oh, he was putting it down.
That was like before he was even starting at quarterback.
Yeah.
That was when Drew Bledsoe was their starting quarterback.
And we still, it starts from right there to the interception he threw to Darrell Reeves, and we had the game when we played the Jets. It's always something. Either he gets hurt,
The
or
question is when a quarterback gets hurt, right? When your starter goes down and your backup comes in, he's usually worse, right?
We can also
Always.
argue that Cowboys fans are the hardest fans on their quarterbacks if they don't win every single
That's
game.
what I said.
every
People are
season.
super harsh on Tony Romo, and I think the
On the
harshest-
outside, like if you're a Cowboys fan, everybody else on the outside is like, dude, chill out. Tony Romo's still a
Give
good
him
quarterback.
nuts. Right. If Tony Romo wasn't super loyal, which he is,
And they take him
he
for
could've-
granted.
Yeah, exactly. He could have played for so many other teams and probably been successful.
You know why I say the Cowboys
why would he
fans
would have been
take-
successful?
You know why I say
Because he's
Cowboys...
a good quarterback.
There's a reason why I say Cowboys fans
That's why
take
we
him for
kept him. There
granted.
wasn't no other quarterback out there, so we had to deal
He's
with
got
him.
the quickest release out there. The dude, which by the way, in today's NFL is probably the most
Huge.
important thing.
Yeah.
Okay, dude's got a fast release. We've all seen Tony Romo drop dimes. Dude, he's accurate. Okay, Tony Romo's got an arm when he needs it. He's not, like
just
He's not gonna have a... He doesn't have Aaron Rodgers.
he's not
accuracy.
hurling it, but he's got an arm when he needs it. He's good on his feet. People seem to forget that too because he gets injured. Tony Romo is mobile. He's smart. I think Tony Romo's a really good quarterback.
And the Cowboys fans for years
He
have
just
taken him
doesn't
for
produce.
granted. You guys have taken him for granted.
He doesn't produce.
Really. He doesn't produce. Let me
I want to win. I want to win. I want me a chip, man. I want me a chip.
Listen to this.
I want to feel like a Patriots fan.
It's,
I want
it's
to,
a great feeling.
It's a
Pause
great
real-
feeling. See, that's what
How
I
about
want to
Dak
feel.
though?
But pause real quick,
Y'all
guys.
just lost.
Think about this. I
feel more confident in him than I do Tony.
Why Dak didn't produce?
I feel like
Because it's something different.
Dak got one game.
It's something different.
Was that their first game in that?
Which one?
The playoffs against Packers.
yeah,
they
that was
still
the
didn't win a
first playoff
playoff.
game.
That was but it's
He didn't
something
produce.
different.
Put him down.
It's something different.
Trade him.
Let me see. The thing is,
It's something different,
what
man.
the reason I say that Cowboys fans take Tony Romo for granted. Think about this. Last season, they had a great running game still. They averaged 4.6 yards on the ground without Tony Romo. You know how many wins they got? I don't even think they got one without Tony Romo.
They're bad.
So think about that. How valuable the quarterback is to them.
Yeah,
if they
but
don't
we
have
different.
Tony Romo last season, which they didn't have him last season,
4-12.
then they went 4-12. With Tony Romo, you probably win in 11, 12 games. With that team, they probably win 11 to 12 games. Dak Prescott is super valuable to that team for what he brings because he reminds me of Russell Wilson.
And he's young.
And he's really young. He's very
That's why
good.
it's something different, and I feel confident. Tony Romo is
I'm
starting to get
confident-
older.
and I'm
Okay,
confident in Dak, too. I'm
he's
just
not
saying for
okay.
years that
Tony
the
Romo is getting older. Okay.
Right.
Number one, he's not Tom Brady, so he's not going to
He's
get
not.
better. He's not going to get better or
He's had
produce
too
better
many
stats.
injuries.
Okay,
Way
he's
too many injuries.
too many injuries.
Right.
He hasn't. Okay, yes, he has produced a little bit, but far as actually winning.
But blaming, but that's what he's saying when he's saying Cowboys fans do harsh on your quarterback. You cannot blame your quarterback for everything.
Because it's a team effort.
It's a
But
team
they
effort.
do make a difference in how many games they win, which is why I said
They
take
make
them
the
for
biggest
granted.
difference. That's what a quarterback is, the most important player on the team.
Like, honestly, we do the same thing now with Derek Carr. You notice every time the Raiders lost, there was all these articles about how Derek Carr had a bad game. No one ever badmouthed our defense. No one ever said, wow, the Raiders' defense really kind of sucked that night.
Yeah.
All they did was focus on Derek Carr's stats, which is one of
because
the
the
problems.
quarterback matters
But
to
yeah,
him.
but everything matters. And if your defense is doing good, quarterbacks, your mindset has everything to do with football. Which is one of the reasons they did not take Dak Prescott out because of his talent. They didn't take Dak Prescott out because of his momentum. You know what I mean? He was doing good. As a rookie, you don't shut a rookie down when they're winning games.
And he went third in the league in passer rating. He had amazing stats,
Right,
as well.
4 interceptions.
So they didn't not
Almost
shut
less
him
than
down
Brady.
because they weren't counting on Tony Romo. Jerry Jones was waiting for Dak to lose because I think Jerry.
That's why
Jones,
he don't even need to have his own press conference anymore. He need to just sit back in the back
Jerry Jones
and just own
wanted
the
Tony
team.
Romo to come in and win because Jerry Jones, of all people, knew Tony Romo would have won with that team just as well as Dak did. But it was Dak's momentum he was bringing that was stopping them from, you know what I mean, taking him out.
Yeah.
But like I was saying before,
And Tony decided to finally, when he finally sat down and was like, "Hey, I'm gonna help this kid out, and we're gonna win games."
Super nice guy. I like Tony Romo.
Yeah, I ain't never said I didn't like him as a
He's all about
person.
the team winning.
Yeah, I ain't
Well,
never said I didn't like him as a
that's what I'm saying.
person.
Do you really think that Jerry Jones, after 1 year of having a quarterback who, by the way, still lost in the playoffs with a savage team, you could argue the Cowboys have more talent than
Even
the Packers.
even after they came back,
Okay. You really think Jerry Jones is going to give up Tony Romo that easy? What happens if Dak doesn't pan out? What happens if Dak pulls an RG3
or a Colin Kaepernick.
and next year does terrible?
And what is?
Because he could. He
Okay,
could.
That's
He could.
definitely true.
It's possible.
But
Or
like
he could
I-
go down from an injury, and
but-
then you don't know what it does to his head.
he reminds me a lot of Russell Wilson, though. I'm just saying.
I'm just telling you, he's not a Tom Brady. He's already injury prone. His stats is not going to get better like Tom Brady's. He's not going to produce to the level of Tom Brady because quarterbacks have been proven that as they get older, what is it, age 36, 37? As they get older, they decline. And Tom Brady is the only person that has changed that, right? Right or
Ben
wrong?
Roethlisberger's close.
But right,
Well, Roethlisberger, like we talked about.
it's Tom Brady.
He's still winning, though.
But it's Tom.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. It's Tom Brady. Like, he's the only one that's actually proven the stats wrong.
right.
So, therefore, Tony Romo is not going to. What is he going to do?
Yeah,
it's just
but
another
but
quarterback.
But you could also
He's
argue
still
that,
we've seen that he can still. When he played against the Eagles, we saw that he could still throw the ball,
Mm-hmm.
and not just throw the ball, but he threw the ball pretty well in the one drive he had, and he made the most of it.
And you
So,
can also argue that
what-
because of his
and you-
injuries, he has had less game time.
So
Don't
therefore,
get
he
upset
won't-
about this whole situation
I'm
with
not.
Tony Romo. It's more of like, if you guys decide to let him go, you have to trade him. You know how much what you can get for Tony Romo? You know what I mean? They probably
second round pick.
at least a second round pick.
Hey,
They'd get a pretty good haul for the guy. If they go second round, they'd probably get some later picks. If not
Get a
this year, they'd get
defensive
some
pick.
later picks for the next year.
So that's
Yeah.
why I say the future.
But that's
what
if-
I'm-
that's
but what
if
I'm
you
saying-
can trade him.
But if it's possible, you keep him.
I think you keep him.
You keep him
But
unless
I don't
cap
think he
space
want.
becomes
I
a
don't think
problem.
he's loyal and all about the team. But the man wants to play. The man wants to play football. You telling me you want to sit behind? I know you want to win and you all about the team. But let's be real. You want to sit behind somebody that's took in your place, and you just want to sit there and watch the team win that you was there the whole time.
Well, you never know. I think it's like Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. I think that they knew that team knew for a while that Aaron Rodgers was good enough to play.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's what I'm
And
saying.
Aaron Rodgers knew he was good enough.
Because Brett Favre didn't mentor
At all.
at all.
Right. So you don't not know because he was their backup, right? So he got snaps.
And he was
okay?
the number one pick. That's
So there's no way that the
He
Packers
wasn't a number
weren't-
one overall pick, by the way.
who Aaron Rodgers was it?
No, he was like number 25.
Right. So there's
Oh,
no way.
I
There's
thought
no
he
way
was
that
number
Packers
one.
weren't looking at him going, "This guy
Okay.
is nice. He knows." You know what I mean? When you're getting snaps and you're throwing darts,
Yeah.
he knew he was good. But it was loyalty. It was I play for the Packers. I want to play for the Packers. Right.
Yeah.
And it was the same thing on all accounts. It was the Packers said we have Brett Favre. We're loyal to Brett Favre. And even though we know this guy behind him could be even better, certainly more accurate, could certainly win more.
So
You know
is
what I
he
mean?
better?
People stay places because they're happy where they are and they like their situation, they like their coaching. I think Tony Romo was like that. I think Tony Romo likes being on the Cowboys.
So you think he's not?
He likes the ownership, obviously.
He does. He likes being.
He's married to the daughter. He's gotta like the ownership.
Right, he does. And with Dak Prescott, with how mobile Dak Prescott is, I mean, because Dak Prescott's good in the pocket. That's the one thing.
Like I
he's
said-
not Colin Kaepernick.
He does what Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson do. They
Right.
run to open up the pass.
Right, he's good from the pocket, but it eventually he will go down. He will.
Okay.
It's bound to happen.
But maybe I'm not gonna say it's gonna
Why?
happen. We don't know when it's
It is
gonna
gonna
happen.
happen.
Well, it's bound
This
to
year,
happen.
It is no. I'm not saying when it's.
So
gonna
why
happen.
can't he be? So why can't he have a good year and be like an Aaron Rodgers or like a Russell Wilson?
He
and-
can't.
Okay,
he can't. But right now, it'd be ridiculous to put all your chips in that basket.
Because we've seen it. Yeah, I get where you're
Time
coming
and time again, we've seen it.
We've seen it where it was.
And maybe we
for an
hit
example,
the jackpot with
for
what,
an
like-
example, San Francisco. They traded Alex Smith as soon as Colin Kaepernick took over the
Right,
Super Bowl.
and they gave Colin Kaepernick
a huge
The
$106
biggest deal
million
ever.
contract. because he wouldn't. I mean, granted, to the Super Bowl, there was a lot of upside, but
Who
dude,
did they play?
they played the Ravens and they lost.
And got
so
smashed. Essentially, they got smashed.
because if it wasn't for a power
Even
outage
with
in the middle of the
off,
game,
yeah, and then their comeback fell super short.
Yeah.
And the Ravens smashed them.
yeah,
Like I said, like they done it for Peyton Manning, like they done it for Ray Lewis. It's always something to how when a player goes out, no matter what you think about it or how you want to go about it, the best player on that team is going to go out on top. They know.
But is Dak Prescott really better than Tony Romo?
he had a great season.
He had a great season.
But I'm also
And
for
Tony
the
Romo's
idea.
definitely going to throw more interceptions
But I'm
than Dak.
definitely for the idea.
He's going to throw more than 4 interceptions.
I'm definitely more for the idea of where Nick's coming from, though. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I understand. I
I'm not.
understand where he's
I'm
coming
not planning
from
on
too.
trading Tony Romo at least for another season. is all
right,
I'm
until
saying.
you see what's going on. You know
Unless
you
it's
get Tony
you
Romo.
get some super huge deal in which you'll have some good assurance.
So you already think. So you're not even throwing in the fact that Tony Romo. So you saying Tony Romo wants to stay?
I mean, yeah, no, I think he does. I think he will stay. I mean, let's just give an example. Look at Derek Carr, okay? Monster. Super high upside. You could argue, because you're a Cowboys fan, I get it, I get the argument. He has a bigger upside than Dak Prescott.
Okay.
Derek Carr, he's not shown any weaknesses, okay?
Not yet.
Dude's throwing accurate. Dude's mobile.
Hopefully he comes back from this injury.
Right,
very well.
all hell, strong arm, smart guy, great leader, says great, you know what I mean? Everything about Derek Carr looks great. Look what happened to Derek Carr. No matter who you are, things will happen and you will go down.
Yeah.
You will. If you're a quarterback, you will go down when...
We've seen this with Mariota the last 2
We
seasons.
saw with Tom Brady.
Yeah.
No matter who you are,
You'll at least have a season where you get hurt.
you will get taken down. And right then and there, Tony Romo got taken down a lot of times, right? But it only took one time for Tony Romo to go down and for that one young guy to be behind him ready to go.
We've seen it time and again.
But that happens all
with
the time.
With Kaepernick and Alex Smith. Kaepernick came in, monster. At
Or
their
Bledsoe.
last season.
Or Bledsoe twice.
Bledsoe twice.
Bledsoe with Brady and with Romo.
Yes.
Bledsoe got outed twice.
Yes.
So it's like when you go down, you don't know you don't know who's gonna come back up. You don't know if they're gonna recover. You don't know any of those
But
things.
most of the time, the only one that it went bad with was Alex Smith and Colin Kaepernick. Tell me somebody.
It's happened bad a lot of times.
Like when?
Where the teams will get super invested in their
It
rookies.
happened to RG3. It happened with the Redskins.
The smart teams, listen. The smart
the Redskins
teams
had to pick him
take
up.
the guys in their first round. They have a guy already in place.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I'm I don't know, if let's just put it for example, if I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers and I want to use my first round pick on a quarterback, you still have Big Ben. You're not rushing Big Ben out of there because your rookie quarterback had 1 or 2 good preseason games. They weren't even going to plan on playing Dak Prescott if Tony Romo hadn't gotten hurt in preseason.
It happened with
or
the
Mark
Rams.
Sanchez.
It happened with Sam Bradford.
Yes.
It happens all the time. People invest big money because you have to invest big money in your quarterback. There is no way around it.
I mean, but
you have to. But it's what
he's
you
not.
do.
We can't invest any money in
It's
him
what
because
you do
we
to
already
help
got the
them
contract.
become improved
It's
quarterbacks.
what you do around them to make sure that they're going to be okay because you have to pay them. We saw it with
Everybody.
what's his name, Texans guy. I keep forgetting his name.
Osweiler.
I don't even keep his name in my head anymore because it makes me angry. Same thing with Osweiler. You have to pay these people. You just have to because the quarterback.
But Dak will already be on the
To be
contract.
honest, they should get Case Keenum. The friggin' Texans. Who you running, Case Keenum
Or Brock
or
Osweiler.
Brock Osweiler?
Who do I take?
Yeah, who you running?
I don't know. Keenum was on the Browns.
Dude, I would run Brady Quinn over
Over Brock
over
Osweiler.
Brock Osweiler.
Maybe over Case Keenum I'd take Brock, but not over I don't know. Give me another quarterback that's not Case Keenum.
Derek Anderson.
Who does he even play for?
He used to play for the Browns.
He's been for the Browns. He was a starter for the Browns.
Did he play for the?
Which I guess starter for the Browns.
But how did we?
Means you're a third string
man,
for everybody else.
we
but-
always do this too, by the way, ladies and
What
gentlemen.
were we talking about?
We were talking about the teams with the biggest upside. Then you guys went into the Cowboys and started arguing back and forth,
All right,
taking
next.
the show from
Okay,
me.
go ahead. Who's your third team?
It doesn't even
You
matter.
said the
now.
Eagles. You were saying the
Titans.
Eagles, the Titans.
It was the Eagles, Titans, Redskins. Yeah.
Did you see that thing that it was like people betting on whether or not the Titans will win a Super Bowl in the next 7 years?
Oh wow, that's a little steep.
What do you think?
I mean, I could see it maybe, but not within the next 5 years. It would take them. It would
Look at
take them
Marcus
some time.
Mariota.
Mariota's been hurt the last 2 years.
Right.
In a sense of where he plays really well, and then the tail end of this season, they would have been a playoff team if he hadn't gotten hurt.
Marcus
in week 15.
Mariota is so talented.
Yes.
Okay.
Dude doesn't like if you're in the red zone like within the 5-yard line, you're scoring with Marcus Mariota. No matter what.
So talented.
He doesn't miss in the air.
Alabama might have the next Marcus Mariota too. I seen that somewhere.
Who?
Alabama might have the next Marcus Mariota.
Oh, that young dude?
I can't think of his
That
name.
freshman
Hurts?
who just played?
No, not Hurts. They got some you know how Alabama's always.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
He's a lefty too. The dude's a lefty.
I can't remember his name. It's some really like it's some strange name. It's not anything like common. I'm pretty sure, but I'll pull it up.
Did you catch any more updates on where they think Deshaun Watson's gonna go? Are they still saying Browns at 12?
Probably Browns at 12. Yeah.
The Browns got 2 picks.
Mm-hmm.
So
But
I
they're
still
saying-
think they
they're saying
disrespected him a little
They're
bit.
saying they're
Tua-
not gonna take him with.
I can't even know how to say this. Is 5-star quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. Is who they just got.
They say, but Jalen Hurts, he got that, man. That's his position.
Well, yeah, for now.
And he was a freshman, so
Yeah, he took him to the
right
championship. Dude.
Yeah, when you're a freshman doing that, it's
Yeah, he was in like contention for Heisman, dude. He was pretty good.
So you think he'll ever be a number 1 pick? Just saying.
Who? Him? Alabama quarterbacks? I'm never buying an Alabama quarterback. Ever. Never in my life.
Why they don't never get a chance?
because look at their
to
number 1 quarterback who led them to like every game they
It's
ever
not.
won.
It's not the
He
quarterback.
was terrible.
It's not every
What's his
quarter.
name?
Who?
AJ McCarron.
McCarron is the backup in Cincinnati.
He's garbage.
He hasn't had a chance.
He has had a chance when
he has.
when
He played.
Andy Dalton went down. Excuse me. When Andy Dalton went down during their playoff season, he had chances to play, and not even play, but like play against like pretty decent teams, and he didn't do that great.
Yeah.
I don't buy Alabama quarterbacks mainly because their coaching is just so phenomenal. You can put
And so is their
Yeah.
so is their defense,
and they
so is
recruit
their offensive line.
and they recruit really well. Like everybody wants to go to Alabama, everybody wants to go to Michigan, Clemson, LSU because they're big programs. But when you look at the quarterback history out of a lot of these teams, besides like Deshaun Watson, like you don't really get any great quarterback. I couldn't tell you who the quarterback for Michigan is right now, but they were a top 5 team in the nation.
True statement.
I'm just saying, like the big programs are great because of coaching. Rarely ever like the teams that come out of nowhere that are really good are usually good because of quarterbacks. Like Marcus Mariota made Oregon really good and over the top because Chip Kelly was a good coach too. But without Marcus Mariota, they weren't that phenomenal.
You can tell that because they're not
You know what I mean?
phenomenal now.
Like without Jameis Winston at FSU, they didn't even they were what were they like? They were top 10.
He's
weren't
another
they?
one. He's another one who's so good.
Yeah, he's really good. They have a chance to make it to like the playoff Super Bowl every year still. They were a playoff contender for a little bit during the regular season.
I'm looking at a mock draft, and like I don't even see
Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun in the top 15.
Yeah,
Did you say somebody had him going lower than like 20?
some teams have had him going low to like the Texans and stuff too. He's all over the place.
Is Mitch Trubinsky the number 1?
Yes.
What about what's his name?
Miles Garrett.
Kaiser.
Yeah, he's 2.
He's 2.
I thought what happened to Miles Garrett?
Dude, these people have.
We're just talking about quarterback prospects.
Okay.
This goon.
The dude
has-
from Carolina,
Garrett,
right?
Carolina. Trubinsky is a quarterback from Carolina. The number 1 overall prospect in this draft is Garrett, though. Like it's
He's a DN, right?
Yeah, he's the defensive end out of Texas A&M. You cannot pass on this dude. He's a physical monster. He reminds you a lot of Davian Clowney.
This terrible mock draft has Deshaun Watson going 23rd to the Giants.
To the Giants? Well, I mean, that would be a nice pickup for them.
I don't
Hey.
think. I don't
Have
think
him develop behind Eli? That wouldn't be bad.
Leonard Fournette's a beast.
Leonard Fournette.
Yeah, he's the next AJ Peterson.
Think so?
I really like Dalvin
So
Cook. He
what?
reminds
So
me.
either him. So if the Cowboys say they had a chance, would it be better to have Zeke, or would it be better to have Leonard Fournette?
Zeke. All day.
Just thought I'd ask.
I love the hurdle.
I love Zeke.
Huh?
The
I
hurdle.
love the hurdle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And Zeke, the fact that Zeke does it as often as he can,
Yeah.
even when it's unnecessary, he's jumping over people.
Yeah.
It's great. Or when he spun off Clay Matthews.
Hey,
Yeah.
what's the name of the
Or
receiver?
Cam Chancellor in the preseason. He was
Oh, yeah.
running through him.
Zeke's
Boom.
Yeah.
He laid. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a beast.
What's in? Sorry.
I'll let you ask this one quick
Okay.
question. I'm gonna give you a quick answer before we move on to our last 10 minutes of Super Bowl coverage. Okay.
Okay.
So go for it.
What's the name of the receiver that plays for Clemson? That was really good.
Mike Williams.
So where's he going? I know he's coming out.
He's a number 2 overall receiver prospect. He could probably go in the top 10 because he has a lot of potential. So now we're going to get our last 10 minutes since we talked about the Cowboys for a good 20.
America's team, baby. America's team.
We're going to go back to our revised picks. I wanted to get... This is your final pick before the big game Sunday.
Tom Brady had the most jersey sales.
He had the most jersey sales in the NFL,
And then
Ezekiel Elliott was number 2.
Dez.
Yeah. But
America's team.
Anyway, so I'm going to get your final picks official for the show. I'm keeping track of them here on my laptop. Your final picks, please. So I kind of got yours before the show, before we started on air again, but I'm going to start with Nick. Who do you have this time? Because I know there's a little bit of controversy now.
Yeah. Oh, man. It sucks.
Because you walked in here with a confidence. You're like, you know what? I got to be honest, man. Like,
no, I feel what I feel. And
yeah.
it's the same way I felt that the Packers were going to just get smoked by the Falcons.
And he was really right on
You know
that
what I mean?
one.
Like, I went with what I felt. So, honestly, I think Patriots are going to win. And I'm seeing a lot of people picking the Falcons.
Yeah.
There's so many people out there picking the Falcons to win.
It's kind of crazy.
Crazy. I'm gonna go Patriots, and I'm revolving around 28-14 or
28-7. I think was your earlier pick.
Or no, I'm revolving around 28-14 or 28-17.
But it's still gonna be like about a sizable.
Oh yeah. No, I think it will.
So I'm gonna lock you in at 28-14. Is that fine?
28-14 works.
28-14 for Nick. So Terrance, I want to hear your final pick. New England or Atlanta, and your score if you can, please. So
And remember, go with what you feel.
Because you gotta look into your honesty and just be like, you know what, man. Like,
All right. Well,
you give me your non-biased, honest answer. Because the first time I met you, you were like, I can't stand the Patriots, man.
Yeah.
The Falcons whip you guys.
Yeah.
I don't know how you cannot stand the Patriots. How can you not love good football?
Yeah.
I do love good football, but when I am a fan, okay? I'm a fan.
This is when I met him, was as a fan.
As a fan, I'm a Lakers fan, so I don't like Boston.
We go back and forth. On
Yeah, so I'm
Boston.
a Yankees fan.
Go
I don't like
Sox.
the Red Sox.
I'm a Knicks fan, so I hate everybody.
So yeah, because y'all just suck.
Anybody who beats
But-
us, I hate.
But I need your
okay.
pick and your score.
All right, this is what I really want to happen. I want the Falcons to win.
This is what he wants, but
this
this
is what I
we're
want.
not confirming this.
This is what I want. I would like for the score to be 28-24, but I feel like the Patriots will win, and the score will be 30-27. Patriots win by a field goal.
Wow. And Mark had already picked Atlanta. I had to put it back in. So the final recap for what our Patriots Falcons Super Bowl, what we have for.
I hope I'm wrong.
He hopes he's wrong. Myself, I have
28-24. That's what I really want.
My pick for this show is the New England Patriots 27-20. There's a little bit of bias, I'm not going to lie, but I feel even as an analyst, I'm picking the Patriots. Ray had picked New England 30-27 as well. So Terrance has New England 30-27. Nick, you have New England 28-14. And then Mark had also picked Atlanta last week. He was not able to join us this week because he had a very fun night last night. The reason is Radford.
The reason is Radford.
So, if there's even an argument, though, what do you think is for Terrance? What do you think is the big point? Why do you think? What's the big key thing that the Patriots do to win this game? Or who's the MVP of this game?
I mean,
Who could possibly be the MVP
it's going
of
to
this
be
game?
it's going to be Tom Brady.
We never know.
It's Tom Brady.
Look inside yourself.
Be real.
You think it's
It's got who else? There's nobody else.
What a question.
There's nobody else.
Well, mainly, like, who do you think the MVP of the game is going to be? And most people are going to say Brady,
Yeah.
of course.
What? No.
I saw some that were thinking, like,
No.
Julian Edelman has a chance to be
No.
it. But, like, you don't get...
Chris Hogan does.
Chris Hogan. I think
Malcolm Butler?
the only way that Tom doesn't get MVP if they win is if he throws 3 interceptions.
Which is why I'm
Or the
team-
running game picks up and like I could see LeGarrette Blount possibly getting it just for many touchdowns.
Even if LeGarrette Blount had 300 yards, they would still give us Tom Brady.
I don't know about all that.
I think that
Just so they can see good they'll give him
That's what I know.
They
That
give him a
was,
trophy.
everyone's like,
Yeah,
I can't wait to see Roger Goodell.
Colin Cowherd even asked him like, "What is it going to be?" Like, it's going to be like I could just kind of sense like the hesitance in a sense.
Somebody on a rival team from the Patriots.
Oh, it was the Browns.
What?
It was Joe Thomas saying how he wanted to see.
Yeah, he's like, I love
Mack.
awkwardness.
He's like, Alex Mack's one of my best friends. He played with me for a long time, but just to see what it'll be like when the commissioner hands that trophy to Brady.
He said, I love awkward moments.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, well, quick question. What do you think it's going to be like if the Patriots win and they go to the White House? Because Martellus Bennett said he wasn't going to go. The tight end.
Well, Brady.
Belichick, Kraft, of course they'll be there.
They like Trump.
Well, Brady's been kind of back and forth.
Well, he has said he's never called him his friend, but I think he has said that he voted for him.
Yeah. He said he supports his friends.
Yeah, because he said something like he sent him a letter or something.
Or no, that was Belichick who sent him a letter congratulating him on his win.
And then he said like.
And Robert Kraft has said why he's a supporter, even though
he's a billionaire.
Yeah, well, like not even that. It was more of when his wife died a few years ago. Like Trump would call him like once a week and check in on him and invite him to things. It was a really nice article on the Yahoo News. Yeah, they're friends.
Right.
So like
that'll be interesting.
It's understandable.
It's all. I mean, to be honest, it'll be even more interesting if like LeBron wins.
Oh, you're very right.
NBA championship. That'd be even more interesting because LeBron has publicly spoken out. Because I mean, I don't think Steph has really said anything.
No, I think honestly we shouldn't hold our athletes to the account of like who do you guys vote for politically or like should I like because your support of somebody should go to your team. You know what I mean? But like if your favorite player doesn't vote the same way you vote, I don't think that should impact how you see that person. Because at the end of the day, there was a reason why I do sports and I don't do politics. Is like I love sports because at the end of the day, we're all football fans.
Right.
You might not like the Patriots or you might not like the Raiders or something like that. But at the end of the day, we're all football fans. We enjoy the game, the discussion, the debate like we have on today.
But we're also all America fans.
We're also all America fans. But politics, man, I see so much division with politics. That's why I love sports. Is because I can come on and talk to anybody about sports. At the end of the day, we're all fans.
Well, I think it's still important for athletes to come out and say things that they feel like. Remember when Dwayne Wade and LeBron James and Carmelo Anthony.
I don't feel like we should.
Remember when they stood up at the ESPYs and gave that speech? Yeah. That's important. That's important that they come together and actually
setting like a good role model and which is nice. It's just like I don't feel like you should hold all athletes to like
certain ones.
Certain ones like
LeBron.
Like I don't think politics should matter.
Did you see him go off on Charles Barkley?
I hadn't get a chance to see the video or hear it.
He went off on Charles Barkley.
What did Charles say to him?
Good for him. Good for LeBron. I'm glad LeBron is like.
I never. The thing is, I heard what he had said, but I didn't know what Charles said about him.
He badmouthed LeBron for wanting a playmaker, for saying
he was crying. He said he was whining.
Calling him whiny. So he was essentially saying he's got Kyrie Irving and he's got Kevin Love, and he just won a title. So he needs nothing else. He just needs to play well, be a good leader, and his team will win. Mm-hmm. Like Shaq, for example, was arguing with him. Shaq was saying, no, he does need a playmaker. You need, for a team to win a championship, to beat a team like the Warriors, you need the best team you can get. And Charles Barkley was like, you don't want to compete? And so essentially he's saying LeBron James doesn't want to compete. He wants it to be easy, which is crazy. No. He's LeBron James. And that's what LeBron James said. They asked him about Charles Barkley, and he was like, he's just got to say things. He's on TV. He was like, but I've been competing since I was in middle school in every game I've ever played. He was like, so I don't know what he's talking about. But then he came out and was like, oh, like, I'm not going to let him disrespect me like that.
My legacy.
Yeah, he was like, what he says matters just because he's on TV. He's like, I never spit on a kid. I never threw a guy out.
And a lot of people were really in support of what
LeBron was saying. And then he was like, I never went to Vegas.
He's like,
Charles has done it
before.
before.
Unpaid debt in Vegas. Like, he went off on Charles Barkley. But I'm glad he did. He's LeBron James.
Yeah. Like, LeBron James has that platform.
Right, you can like Charles Barkley you want. Charles Barkley's not LeBron James.
No, he's not.
He never won.
And he never was.
No, never. In his prime. He was never near LeBron James. So it's not even a debate. He should shut his mouth. That's why I like that Shaq popped off on him. Shaq was like, you know nothing about going back-to-back. He was like, me and Kenny do. And I was just like, in my head, I was like, he doesn't know anything about winning one. Nevertheless, going back-to-back. Shaq was mad.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Shaq was angry.
I mean, if I'm LeBron James, if you're trying to come up there and like tatter like my legacy or whatever, like if it's even, if somebody came on like some other radio show was like, I heard some word about it. I was like, hey, like somebody's bad mouthing you, saying like you're a horrible like journalist
Right.
or something. I'd be like,
Now imagine if you were the greatest journalist
of all time, and someone was like, "This guy's terrible," and like he doesn't know what he's doing, and he needs a new pen.
Right. Right. And then imagine what you would say.
Yeah, I'd be very livid. So that seems about be all the time we have here today. I would like to thank you guys once again for coming on.
No problem.
Hope I can have you guys back next week to talk about the Super Bowl as it concludes. So thank you very much, guys. Gonna head out of here. Enjoy your weekend and go Pats.
Go Pats.
Any final words from you guys?
America's team. I'm still bitter.
Take it easy, guys.